So, welcome to another episode of the Grown and Greek podcast. Excited for this one because we're going to be talking about trailblazing into the future. Yes. So, let me introduce, housekeeping notes really quickly. So, definitely make sure that you're following us on all social media platforms at Grown and Greek podcast. You can listen on podcast platforms wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and of course, Amazon. If you know someone of the D9 who we should talk to and spread the news about the good things that the D9 are doing, make sure that you DM me at Grown and Greek Podcast on IG. So, this episode's guest, I'm so excited. Her name is Charisse D. Stokes, and the D, I think, stands for Diva, Delta. You can tell me
We'll
later.
go with that.
All right. She's the president of Title IT Solutions LLC. It's an information technology consulting company in Montgomery, Alabama. She leads Tech MGM that supports tech and innovation initiatives. Also, the Alabama Collective, which is a nonprofit organization focused on elevating minority tech talent and entrepreneurs across the state of Alabama. She holds a bachelor's of science degree in ceramic engineering from Clemson University and a master's of business administration and finance from Auburn University in Montgomery. That's AUM for those people that know the know. And she sits on the board of many tech based firms and institutions. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Please, once again, welcome to the Grown and Greek podcast, Charisse D. Stokes. Hello, hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited for the conversation because I'm on the creative graphics, web design, all of that side of, I guess, IT
Yeah.
technology. But you drive the engine. You know about driving the engine. So let's dive in really quickly. I've never heard of ceramic engineering. So and you founded an innovation company, IT consulting firm that is all about that. So you've had, an interesting journey. Can you talk about what that has been like, and then, some of the moments that highlight your career so far?
Absolutely. So I decided to pursue an engineering degree program when my physical science teacher told me, if you like what we're doing in class, you should be an engineer. And I had no idea what it would be like, what those courses would be like, or even what ceramic engineering was at that time. And my freshman year in Clemson, you take that general engineering class and they talk to you about all the different types. And I
Mhm.
was like, so I want the one that makes the most money. And I want the one that's going to have longevity, but I want something that's also just going to be interesting across the course of time. And so for me, it was not only interesting, it was the second highest paid engineering degree program, but it also would allow me to do some pretty cool things. So at that time, I wanted to work for NASA and
Okay.
actually design the tiles in the space shuttle. And that's
Oh,
what a lot of ceramic engineers do. We also do everything from environmental ceramics to spark plugs to glasses. And then I also was that kid that always wore braces. And I was like, oh, I could do that too.
okay.
So it was fun. I still got to bring home like class projects to my parents when I was in college. But fortunate for me, I was also an ROTC in college. And so I was an Air Force ROTC. And so coming out of college, I commissioned as a lieutenant in the United States Air Force and served 4 years in Montgomery. And so that's where I started to do information technology. And I really got into the technology side of things. So, hands down, while I have not had an opportunity to touch ceramics in years, I will say my engineering program and the discipline, the problem solving and critical thinking skills that I learned in that program have guided and have been instrumental in everything that I've done. And every day I use them. And so, be it the IT side, the computer science side of the work that I've been doing, or cybersecurity or application development, or being able to provide resources to HBCU students, a lot of
Mhm.
that is all problem solving because that's a problem that we have. And
Okay.
it's the ability to use those same principles to solve that problem and to make sure that we have more engineers, more technologists, and more people that are studying computer science fields.
So, in terms of, let me see if I can ask this question correctly. You know, like IT is thrown around a lot in term, as far as a term goes. But can you kind of break down the nuts and bolts of what that means? What it means in terms of society, everyday um, uh, uh, applications, or um, things that we have to work with in society. Break down what that means, and then secondly, break down what it means if we did not have um, IT and something focused to make those engines run, I guess.
Sure. So if you peel back the onion and you think about technology, I'd actually like people to think about innovation in general. And we talk about it a lot across the state of Alabama and specifically in Birmingham and Montgomery, where we talk about essentially how we've been innovating for years, and innovating, be it making things more efficient, the ability to be more effective. And so when you look at technology, it's using those same nuts and bolts and that same thought process to be able to put things together, be it in a digital format that now makes something more efficient and makes it more effective. And so while we've had advancements like electricity or phone service or the internet, and now we have things like AI and other aspects that are making things more efficient, more effective, but it's also making us more connected. I think we see where we have different generations where, your Gen Zs did not have access to the same thing that our millennials have access to now, right? And as we look at future generations, they're more connected than ever. And we're using technology to do that. But we're also using data. And it's the ability to take that data, analyze that data, and now provide more informed decisions for our future, but also for our advancements. And so as we look at technology now, it's taking those connections, those connected devices, and it's making our life that much more convenient, our lives that much more efficient and effective, be it from an automotive side of the house to a computer side of the house to the side of the house that protects our data every day. When we look at things like medical information, financial information, and the ability to move around. And so now we're doing more of it, we're doing it faster, and we have the ability to grow even stronger because of it.
Well, it kind of takes me back. Like this is such an exciting conversation for me, because I remember as a kid going to what used to be Epcot Center. I think it evolved into Universal Studios or something,
Mm-hmm.
at Walt Disney World, and going through one of the um, rides or whatever it was back then. And I'm dating myself, but but there were like legit like um displays, I guess, of people using technology back then. Like it was imagined back then and created with, forms and all of that stuff. I would have, and it was like, oh my God, what is this? This is like so great. This is awesome. Like this is, potentially what we can be, living in the future and everything. It is here. I never would have dreamed of, the opportunity to live in this space and see it become something other than what we saw imagined back then. But you're working in it. You're doing the things to create those ecosystems and things like that. And I mentioned like at the top that you are a part of the Alabama Collective. Can you talk a little bit about that and what the work and things that you're doing and how you see the landscape changing, in particularly bringing in, minority talent and things like that across the state, and then, the greater U.S.?
So I will tell you, the Alabama Collective is it's probably one of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever had for us to not only launch and to do work within that space. When I look at the state of Alabama and the fact that we have more HBCUs than any other state, we have the ability to train and to develop talent that can go anywhere. But when we look at those schools, they're not all created equal. They don't all have access to the same resources. They don't all have the same coursework, teachers, degree programs. And when we look at the need for STEM professionals and those that have technical training, we look across the state and we are probably, as an HBCU effort, producing less than 2 to 3% of the STEM professionals across the state. And we've got to do better because those are the jobs. That's where jobs are going. So for us, it's a matter of being able to work hand in hand with all of the colleges and universities to bring them information, to bring them data, to bring them partnerships with local industry that are hiring, but to close that information gap between what they might be teaching today and what their students need to be employable. And so we kind of take a four-pronged approach on that, where it's about exposure. We've got to expose them to what real world looks like. I don't know about you, but as a kid, I saw my parents go to work. It doesn't mean I knew exactly what they did. You have your view of what, adulthood is like and what that next level of working is like. And you want to be this, but do you really know what that is? Part of what we've been trying to do is to expose them to those real world jobs. What does it look like once you graduate? Not just the social side of adulting and buying your first car and having your checking account, but what does it look like to go to work every day? What is that job going to demand of you? But then second, how do we educate you? So yes, you may have wanted to go to this school and you may be interested in this topic, but what else can we do to make sure that you are marketable and competitive? If that's teaching you the wraparound services, even if you're saying, I want to be in the arts, I think we have understood that every degree program and every career has a technical side to it. You technically need to be smart. And we say all the time, I don't want them to just be digital consumers. I want you to be a digital innovator. Wow. Everyone that we train now, I don't just want you to consume digital aspects. You've got to know how to innovate with those. But then the second half of that is the other two sides of that approach. And that's the ability to, one, engage you, give you opportunities where you can actually engage with people that are doing the work today, but then also empower you. So why give you all these tools and then you have no place to take them? We have to provide those opportunities where you now have the education, you've been exposed to it, you've engaged, but now can you show me what you're working with at that point? Giving you an opportunity to shine brightly amongst everyone that's here, where now they're seeing that our HBCUs are producing outstanding talent and they're ready for the workforce, they're ready to be competitive in the jobs, and they're ready to excel. So the work that we've done over the past few years, it's been amazing, but it's had its challenges. We've had to go into institutions and say, this is why I'm here. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing, but let me tell you what else is out there and how we can work together, how we can collaborate, and how we can bring everyone to the table to just take it to the next level. What we want to do is we want to level up for all of the students that we have, so that no one is saying, I graduated and I can't find a job.
Wow. And this, I mean, that's where we are. Can you talk about one or two or however many success stories that you're just super proud of, and what has sparked even more work being done to make sure that those success stories continue?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do each year during Magic City Classic is we have a business pitch competition. So, I mean, everybody knows the classic is the classic, right? And it's the time to bring everyone together. And so being able to host students, have that pitch competition, and put actual cash in hand to those students to launch their businesses has been amazing. We have given probably close to $60,000 to college students in the last few years just through that pitch competition alone. And the ideas that they have, the businesses that they have, they're not only impacting their HBCU communities, they're also giving them an opportunity to then go to an employer and say, look what I've done in my spare time while I'm still a student, and you have students that probably didn't have the courage and confidence to be able to get up there and pitch their idea. And we've trained them, we've given them pitch perfect training, we've given them, just also ideas on how they can make their businesses better. And they're going out there and they're winning. And they're winning statewide, but they're taking those ideas out of the state and they're winning on national levels. So it's been great to see how many businesses have launched, how many students are now participating in programs where we may have had 3 teams participating in the first competition. We had over 50 teams that applied for one of our most recent competitions. And that's growth over 2.5 years. So being able to see more and more students understanding the value of the work, understanding what they can get out of it, and how it's not I got to wait 2-3 years to see impact. They're seeing immediate impact and being involved, and the mentorship and coaching that goes with that, they're getting jobs. And so now they have that opportunity to have a more well-rounded resume. They are making their side hustle more than a side hustle, and they are also putting money in their pockets. So it's been great.
So let's stay right there real quick. I want to kind of, I guess, paint a picture. You talked about students and those opportunities for obviously side hustles, but they're entrepreneurs and they're creating their own path. But there is, I think, some legitimacy with being in the marketplace. Where do you see that part going? Do you see more opportunities for innovation when it comes to technology going into the entrepreneurial space? Because you can kind of control your own narrative and everything. Or is it better to stay in the marketplace for a while because of some of the opportunities, I guess, to learn and to grow and things like that? Because when I think about the two, technology moves fast. So you want to be at the right place at the right time. So which way should, folks that are thinking about going into that space go?
So it totally depends on
So
it totally depends on the business. So I'll give you an example. Our last pitch competition was an app development competition. And we had a young man from Talladega who had a brilliant idea, and his business was around being able to streamline the legalese that you see when you sign up for something online. Like, how many people actually read that Netflix agreement?
They don't.
Right? And when you're clicking through, you're just clicking. Well, he actually designed an application that if you put the agreement in, it highlights any red flags that you might have or any concerns that you may have in seconds using AI. Now, something like that may be something he says, hey, I want to pitch this to a company, and or I want to keep this to myself. Whereas we had someone else in the competition that their idea was to have a database using AI to assist with mental health and elderly care. Well, is that something that they could completely support on their own? Or would they need the assistance of a large business and or healthcare providers or some of your more hospital type networks that would actually make it a company that's more viable? So it really depends on what the nature of the business is as to whether or not it's just a single great idea, you go forth and conquer, or is it something that's a nicety that would be helpful to supplement into an existing business. So it really has to do with the type of business that it is.
Okay. How do you find those gaps? Like, how do you find those opportunities for implementing technology? Does it depend on your interest, or how would you say that you research, I guess, to find those opportunities.
So if you think back to like COVID, people
Mhm.
had loads of brilliant ideas during COVID, right? Everybody was at home. You were trying to make everything convenient. You were also trying to have workarounds. There were more micro businesses that started during COVID than any time in the last few decades. So a lot of the businesses that really excel are businesses where people are just coming up with the next great idea, not necessarily where you're looking at something and saying, I'm going to figure this out. Sometimes it's just you sitting there saying, I got an idea about this.
Okay.
And then they're doing the experiments. And what we take you through in a lot of our entrepreneurship training is to then experiment on that. So it's a great idea for you. Does anybody else think it's a great idea?
Mm.
You know, now what's your target audience? And you're asking those questions to do the right research to then down select and say, oh, you know what? I got something here. Or
Mhm.
you probably thought in your mind something and it's only you that actually cares about that, right? So you've got to do the experiment to really figure out, is there a need for that? What does supply look like? You know, is there true demand for what you're trying to offer someone? And part of that customer discovery and experimentation is what a lot of our students have the opportunity to do after they win some of our competitions. But they also kind of have to show us when they've come up with this brilliant idea, who cares about that?
Mm.
Why is that a brilliant idea? They've got to sell us on why is there a need for us to fund something like that.
Mm. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So in terms of AI, um, I think people are just not there. They don't understand it, and they're afraid of it. Why? Number one, and then what do you? How can you explain it? The need for it, and then on top of that, kind of explain where you see it going and how we can start utilizing it now. Uh, from the little that I have um, been working with it, it is mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. And to your point with having an idea, that's what I see happening, like with AI and some of the applications and things like that. It's kind of like whatever you can do, whatever you can do to make things more convenient, there's an AI solution for it. But yeah, can you take the thought and kind of explain it, why people shouldn't be afraid of it, and then how what you see happening in terms of that space.
Sure. So, first, I don't want people to be afraid of it, right? I want people to understand that it is not a solution, but it's a catalyst. And I think you have to put it in that box. And you hear so much now. And I just had a really interesting conversation, we'll call it that, with an older gentleman that just said, I was going to do a presentation about AI. And he said, so are you coming to talk to me about how you're going to take our jobs? I said, that's
What?
not what I'm coming to talk to you about, right?
Whoa.
So AI is not there to take your jobs. AI is there to make your jobs better, to make your jobs even more efficient and more effective. And so it is not replacing activities. What it is doing is it's helping to speed up some activities and to make them more efficient. Are we going to need the human element forever? Yes. We
Mm.
will always need the human element. However, what we will need right now is the ability to aggregate data faster. That is what AI is doing. So
Mm.
if it is the ability to make note cards for your kid while they're studying, and you use AI to do that, and while it may have taken you and your kid 3 hours to make those note cards to study for their exam, and you can use AI and get that done in 2 minutes, and now the rest of the time is spent studying, use that catalyst. It's not a
Mm.
solution. It doesn't take it away, but what it does is it helps you to be more efficient. When we look at healthcare and medical uses for it, the ability to aggregate data that helps in being able to determine which drugs can or cannot be used. Also, which environments that you can use specific drugs and or chemicals with and on. That's huge for us, especially when we look at diseases, when we look at illnesses, when we look at the ability to now have a quicker diagnosis because you have AI and you don't have someone hand jamming data and information to find that out. That's huge now. But even when you look at education and the ability to use AI to help students and to customize lesson plans, we do a really good talk with educators across the state on how they can use AI to customize lesson plans for students that have learning disabilities. So now you're collecting information and you're able to better identify different strategies that will help that student learn better and that will help you actually instruct better to that student. And so as I talk to college students on the ethical ways of using AI, and not for it to write your paper to turn in, right? But for it to help you aggregate the data that you need to write the paper that's there. It's interesting. I use it every day. And if it's a matter of being able to, one, widen the scope of my own vocabulary, to put conversations and or emails and or especially our ability to promote and to target audiences where it may not be something that I would have thought of. But I would say, hey, this is what I'm going to say to get students engaged. And I could look at my own college student son that says, yeah, if I read that, I'd never come. And in my head, it was the right thing to say. But I could put it in AI and basically ask, target this for students ages 18 through 25 that are mostly minority, that are in southern states. And I can ask for the tone and I'll completely get something different from what I imagined would be received from them. So one, it helps to extend your knowledge base in general, and it gives you so much more of what you may not have originally thought about. So I really, really want people to understand that AI is there to help. It's there to provide us with even more information, but it's really about the ability to now make better informed decisions about everything throughout our life.
How do you learn it? Like, how do you jump in and learn it? Like, yeah, how do you do that?
So it's trial and error, right? So it's simple. Great example. My mom sent me a note last week and was like, your sister sent me this. How do I respond? So I'll open up ChatGPT or Copilot and I'll say, please draft a response, a sincere and empathetic one from a mother to a daughter that shows sympathy and encouragement. It's trial and error. You put that in, it spits back out, and you'll say, that hit the mark. Or it may say, nah, my mother doesn't really talk like that. I can come back and it may ask me, and last week it asked me, what kind of mother is your mother? Is she stern? Is she kind? I was like, very stern, not so kind, right? And so what you have the ability to do is to train your AI. So, and that kind of goes into the difference between some of your paid versions and your unpaid versions. And do know that, does AI give you errors sometimes? Sure. Do you always have to fact check? You don't copy and paste everything that you saw in AI and just submit it, right? You may look back if you're trying to actually do something that's more technical or something that's more legal and look back and say, let me just check to make sure that this was exactly it. Okay, yes, I can use this. But what you do is over time, you're training it. I will tell you, my AI knows how to speak in my voice.
Wow.
I will input things that I have written and I'll say, use this as background context. And now help me write this. And so being able to train your AI is important, but it's also just straight trial and error. You just play with it. And then oftentimes you may use different platforms and you may say, okay, I like the versions that I get here. These are just okay. And you may prefer one platform over another. Some people swear by one, some people swear by another, but it's really the ability to just trial and error it. And it doesn't take long. That's the thing. It would be different if you put something in today and you had to wait 48 hours to get it. You're waiting more like 48 seconds.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I kind of, look at it as your best friend that you're getting to know. And, ultimately you'll be buddies and be able to, say, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "What's going on, dog?" Or what-
That's
or what
exactly it.
or whatever. And, that's pretty cool. So where do you see trajectory speaking, right? Where do you see that being in 10 years? And then, you mentioning the work that you do with HBCUs. How can we start earlier with our minority students, getting them ingrained with understanding, the trajectory to prepare for what that looks like 10, 20 years from now?
So let's not even talk 10, 20. Let's talk two, right?
Ooh.
Because I will tell you from an AI perspective, even across the state of Alabama, real huge shout out to Dawn Morrison, who is a Delta actually, and leads career tech for the Alabama State Department of Education. Her and her team, they are actually already working on curriculum that will come in K-12 schools for AI. And so that curriculum will likely be launched next fall. And so we will start teaching it in schools K through 12. So our students will learn even sooner. It's vitally important. We will get to the point within the next few years. If you have not started to learn how to use AI, you could be left behind.
Wow.
And there will be probably an even more significant divide in those that are employable and those that are not. And so
Wow.
we'll start to see a change in jobs, and we'll start to see, and we see it right now when you look at STEM professionals where they're asking, do you know how to prompt engineer? And prompt engineering is just like the exercise I just walked through with what you put in as to what you get out. Right now, employers, that is a question that they are asking, is your ability to prompt engineer. And so a student that's coming out of college right now that knows how to prompt engineer, they are probably 5 times more employable than a student that does
Wow.
not.
Wow.
So the advancements that are being made right now because there's a sense of urgency. There's a sense of urgency for every field to understand how to use it. Within the state, while not an HBCU, Troy University in Montgomery just opened a center for AI research and education. That center is focused on the business side of AI and how you're using artificial intelligence to help you make informed decisions in any business. That's
Mm.
how you're using data to drive your business, to make your business more successful, and also how to make your business, how to reach more clients in general, and how to be a better business person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at aspects like that that are happening right now, it's showing you that that's what the trend is going to be. The trend is going to be how are we using data in general to one, make our lives better. And that's
Mm-hmm.
from healthcare, that's from sports, that's from television, entertainment to real estate and every aspect of our lives. So as we continue to move that into so many aspects of our life, so many more people need to understand it, how to work with it, how to one, use the results to make those decisions better, but then also how to collaborate with others in using that data.
Mm.
So we'll see that in education at all levels, but we'll also see where you'll have spin-off companies that are using AI to do even more work. So just like you had loads of businesses that popped up in COVID, you have loads of businesses that have popped up because of AI. Even if you do a search, you do a Google search right now on AI powered businesses, you'll see thousands.
Wow.
So it's greater opportunities for us. It's more that we have to work with, and it enables us to have even more niche businesses because it's not a huge cost and barrier for entry. Half of the information that you're finding out for free on the web.
Hmm. Will it always be that way, you think?
So I think the entry level, yes, I do, because I think the goal is to always make it accessible. Now, the ability to do the next layers of the things, yes, there will certainly be costs associated with that. But I think everyone has realized, from your larger tech giants, be it your Googles, your Microsofts, and others, that making it easily accessible to everyone is helpful for the entire country, in the world in general, globally, because now we all have the ability to be more innovative.
Hmm. So you talked about the work that you've done with the Air Force and across like government and other industries. You sit on the board of firms and institutions and everything. How does your perspective help with driving some of the innovations and some of the offerings that uh, drive these industries and help them to succeed in the future?
So I think it's helpful in the instance that you may have traditional boards or traditional organizations that are used to doing business the way they're used to doing business. And
Hmm.
sometimes they need and appreciate having someone that understands that we've got to evolve. I liken it to college football, right? Like, I'm a huge college football fan, and everybody got upset when the transfer portal happened in NIL. There were some people that understood it. There were some people that did not. There were some people that caught onto it quickly and realized that they had to evolve, and they're winning.
Hmm.
You now look at organizations that I will have to say sometimes, hey, so how are we protecting ourselves from a cyber perspective, and or how are we using AI to make better informed decisions for our organization, because we want to win. Ultimately, we all want to win, and the game has changed. So now that you have the evolution of things like AI, you have to get others to understand how it's a benefit, how we can actually use that, and how, as an organization, we have to evolve. And if that's best practices, lessons learned from other organizations, and or showing some case studies towards that, certainly have had to do that on some occasions. But generally, some people are like, I don't know what this AI thing is, but I feel like we need to be doing this. And, I could easily second that. Yes, we do. Let's make sure we're doing that now. So some of it is being that forward thinking voice in the room, but then it's also showing and being just completely honest and real about, what the benefits are, if there are any disadvantages, and not essentially hoodwinking somebody into doing it, but really showing why we need to do it, what the benefit is for our organization, and certainly what some of those results and outcomes can be.
So every company can use tech AI in
Oh,
those
absolutely.
ways.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. That's wow. Absolutely amazing. So tomorrow's, tech leaders, you being one of them, um, even currently, for anyone that's listening to this podcast, listening to this episode right now, what's one truth that you want them to walk away with about success in the space, impact in the space, and the legacy that they can build in the space?
I would say that there's always more. Don't ever think that we've reached the ceiling when it comes to technology and innovation. Some people say that's already been found. Somebody's already researched that. No, there's always more.
Wow.
There's always more that's out there. So I don't want anyone to really see that false kind of glass ceiling. Um, if you're limiting yourself, you're choosing to limit some of the great ideas. You have someone that'll tell you, you will always miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Mhm.
So this is something, technology, innovation, AI, it is the art of the possible, and there's always more.
Wow. The art of the possible. That's dope. That's a quote. No doubt. So the Alabama Collective, let's go back to that. How do people get involved with that? Like that is like absolutely amazing. Just the opportunity to have your vision come to life and people celebrate it. That's just, and then you get rewarded for it. How do people get involved with it?
So certainly finding us on the web on the alabamacollective.com, but we're all over socials, right? Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for sure on the Alabama Collective. A lot of what we try to do is engage with communities in general, but we also try to engage outside of the state of Alabama so people understand how great we are. We want people to see the students, the faculty and staff, our HBCU communities, and we want them to engage with them. There's so many opportunities to be a mentor, to be a coach, to participate in training, be it technical or entrepreneurship training, but then also our engagement opportunities. We pop up at all the campuses. So being able to come and engage with us there. But then we also have times throughout the year. We do a Turkey Day Classic brunch in Montgomery during Thanksgiving, just during that week. We also get down during Magic City Classic and times throughout the year. There's so many opportunities to just look us up, to pop in. I will tell you, all of our events are absolutely free. All of our training that we have provided to students, to alum, to communities, are 100% free. It's huge for us to make things accessible to everyone so that there is not a limit to somebody being able to participate. Mm-hmm. So definitely find us online, connect and engage with us via social, and we'd love to see you at one of our events.
That's pretty awesome. You've been intentional, about opening doors for minorities we spoke of, but girls that look just like you and me. So what would you do? What would you say to a young Black girl who is not real sure about what she wants to do, but to consider tech and consider IT and consider AI? What would you say to her?
I would say practice makes perfect, right? It's not easy. I'm not going to for a second tell someone that, oh, it's easy. Anybody can do it. It's not easy, but it's worth working for. For me, it was a matter of, I did not see a Black female ceramic engineer when I was growing up by any means, but I see them now. And I also recognize that and right now our times are a little different than the times where I was picking what I wanted to be. They have to see it. They have to see it to believe it could happen. And I would honestly charge those that are in the community doing the great work, especially Black females, to get out there and be seen. We have to be seen. And the more that we can do to go into schools and go into other opportunities and extracurriculars where they see us doing all the things, the more the better. So I would tell any young Black female right now that not only can she do it, just got to be ready to work and ready to practice.
And it's lucrative, right?
It is lucrative. It is.
That's what you want right there. That's what you want. But you are doing some absolutely phenomenal things. The word from the bird was you were it. You were the person, to talk to about the IT space. And I can definitely say that I'm so thankful that you have shared your time and your knowledge and your expertise with on the podcast and everything. But more importantly, just to celebrate you and the fact that you are doing, the work to show others that you can trailblaze and, you can make a difference. And, asserting yourself is not just saying, I want to do something. No, you gotta bear the fruit. And so you are absolutely bearing the fruit. And Charisse, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been a full conversation, and I'm so excited. And I'm like, okay, well, what can I do next? I'm at a point where I'm trying to, integrate AI in particular into what I do daily, and it's working. And it's like, man, if this could have been here some years ago, it could have saved some time for sure, but just thinking so much, like trying to figure out like how to cross a T and dot an I, So it's so exciting that we have an opportunity to really change what our futures are going to look like. So thank you for all of the work that you're doing. How do folks follow you? How do people get in touch with you and, take advantage of, I hate to say it like that, but take advantage of, the knowledge and stuff that you're putting out there?
Yeah, so certainly follow at the Alabama Collective on our socials, and then at Charisse Stokes. I think it's Charisse D Stokes that you can follow on. And yes, D. I think it's Charisse D Stokes. So definitely follow. Stay engaged. We love to have new partners, new collaborators, but we love to have just new minds, people that are just inquisitive and interested. We're there for that.
That's pretty awesome. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time to be on the podcast. It's so nice to meet you, to talk to you, and I cannot wait to continue to follow and keep in touch with everything that you're doing. This has been a very, very inspiring conversation. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. This has been awesome. Really appreciate it.
And let me close it out. I forgot to do that. So Charisse, thank you again for being on the podcast, and make sure that you are following, liking, subscribing, commenting. That's very important to the Grown and Greek podcast on all social media platforms at Grown and Greek Podcast, and follow us, listen to us on YouTube and on all podcast platforms, iHeart, Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. Once again, the Grown and Greek podcast. Charisse Stokes, thank you so much once again. You can support Grown and Greek by subscribing to the podcast, shopping our exclusive luxury accessory line, or purchasing books from the D9 Book Club by visiting our website at grownandgreekpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and share on social media at Grown and Greek Podcast. Thanks for watching.